this doctor saved my life.
And not to cut you off, but this is exactly why we need to be talking to each other when we're sitting in that doggone lobby. We have got to uncross your arms and share those stories, because you know, you're right, I forgot about that. I was in the hospital, and the doctor that, when I was having my seizures, I'm going to just address the viewing audience here. When I had 3 back-to-back grand mal seizures. I believe it was at 2 o'clock in the morning. My doctor, who claimed I was his favorite patient, did not show up until 8 o'clock in the morning. Now, after I had the seizures, obviously now I'm wide awake. Oh my goodness, that motivated me to find another doctor. But I was speaking to a fellow patient, and just by fate, I called her up and I said, well, I've been recommended to go to this particular doctor. She said, no, you can't go to him. You got to go to somebody else. And she told me, and that's when I got the doctor that I have today, and everything has been great, you know. So bottom line is we got to start talking to each other.
Yes, that's right.
You know?
I totally agree. I mean, there's so much information that we can find out just from talking to each other, and there are incredible physicians out there, and I think that when we find one, it's like a treasure. You know, your health is everything, and just being able to share that information with someone is, you know, a valuable resource that could be sitting right next to you that you don't realize.
Well, I know, Peggy, I know every now and again you will actually go and not that you go on chat rooms, because they can be actually negative, but I do know that you seek out some information and different resources that you can go to talk to people that are going to be focusing on the positive and the solution, and not the problem. So do you have any kind of, and I know I'm catching you off guard with this, but do you have any kind of direction that you can point somebody into that they can get, whether it be a support group, that
Google. Google's my best friend. Google it. You know, go to Google or yahoo.com and whatever it is, just look up the information. Go to chat lines. Just stay away from the negative, because that's where patients are speaking to each other. There are a lot of negative patients, so you have to be careful. Look for those success stories. Seek those success stories. They're out there.
And then what about the medical professionals? I mean, you know, I always believe that not only should we share our successes with our fellow patients, but we need to also share it with our medical professionals so that they can turn around and share it with the other patient. You know, the more the success we talk about, I think we can really start a whirlpool of success, and a lot more of us are going to be feeling better. The family members aren't going to be feeling so hopeless because they have people like Twana that are coming on and sharing their story, and this is why it's so important that we do this. Peggy, with your mom, I want to kind of go back to your mom. Now, I know that unfortunately your mom had the battle of cancer. Now, I know that your intuition the whole time, well, let me back up a little bit, because your mom also had some intuition, because hers started in her back. And I know she hurt her back, and she always had that little inkling that there was something wrong. And I'm not sure if I'm clear on this, but did she go to the doctor and try to get the resolution as to what was going on? Because I remember her getting the runarounds as well.
This story, it's a long story, and it's very, very fascinating. And it has a lot to do with her intuition. She felt something was wrong. She got a clean, you know, wonderful checkup. Said everything was great. And something amazing happened, and she hurt her back, went to the hospital. They didn't find it. Then, magically, she was taking a shower. The shower cap fell off, knocked her down. She had to go to the hospital again for her back, and they found it this time. So it was almost like something interesting trying to tell her, look at your back, look. We caught it, I believe, early enough. And I believe, God bless our medical team, but I believe they really failed us. And I learned, and we had to learn late within there to really take control. At the very latest, because we could have been helped in the very beginning. They had it. They had the program for it. But for political reasons, they did not guide us there. And that's what they're supposed to be, our guide. And she was young too, and she was vibrant, and she was extremely proactive. And we were too, but not like we should have been. We trusted, and we had warning signs. We had so many warning doctors. Shouldn't the doctor call us back? Shouldn't the doctor call us back? Why isn't the doctor called? Why did this happen? Why? All these alarms. But they should know. They're educated. You know, they do this all the time. But, you know, the doctors are exhausted too. They're exhausted. I mean, if I make a mistake or we make a mistake, it's just a mistake. They make a mistake, they cry. I mean, I'm sure they do, or they're desensitized because it's a death. So I know they have a lot on their shoulders. So therefore, we must be advocates. A family must be advocates, and we got to listen to our inner guide.
And Peggy, on that note, we're going to go ahead and we're going to close. And I just want to reiterate here that we're not here bashing on our medical professionals. We know that you're overloaded, but what I am saying, and this is from patient to patient, that if you're dealing with a chronic illness and you have your loved ones that are around you, and if you even that are telling you maybe you should think about switching programs, or maybe that medication is not as good for you, you feel it within your own. Matter of fact, I'm going to share a little story here before I let you go. I had a client of mine call me, and they were medicating him because his blood pressure was running high. He called me up and he said, Sheila, they put me on a new blood pressure and I can't get out of bed.
Wow.
And I said, well, were you able to get out of bed before? That was the first question. He goes, I was fine until I started this medication. And I said, well, how come you haven't talked to your doctor about that? And he goes, well, because my doctor said it's best for me to take this medication and whatnot. And right away I said, no. You should not, medication shouldn't paralyze you. To make a long story short, by him listening to his intuition and then also listening to my advice, because I said get on the phone and call your doctor, it turned out that the medication was having a negative reaction against another medication. Had he had not called the doctor, it could have taken his life. So once again, the underlying message here is your intuition is your inner knowing, and if you have something that's nagging you, discuss it with your medical professionals. If your medical professionals aren't listening to you, you got to find another team. That's the bottom line. Peggy, you're raising your hand over there. Go right ahead.
Watch shows like this one. This show is fantastic, and I'm not just tooting the horn. This show is a tool. Watch shows like this. Listen to radio shows like this. Anything you can. Positive. Fill your mind to take control.
Well, Peggy, thank you so much for that. And I'd like to take this moment once again to thank our guest, Twana Walker. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank
Peggy,
you.
as always, thank you for your wonderful insight. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Patient's Pride, Taking Back Control. I'm Sheila Shaw, and thank you once again for tuning in. Take care of your health and listen to your intuition.
I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as mine with those who are to follow. I will apply for the benefit of the sick all measures that are required, avoiding those twin traps of overtreatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember that there is an art to medicine, as well as a science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say I know not, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me, that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death. If it is given to me to save a life, all thanks. But it may also be within my power to take a life. This awesome responsibility must be faced with great humbleness and awareness of my own frailty. And above all, I must not play at God. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth, but a sick human being, whose illness may affect the person's family and economic stability. My responsibility includes these related problems if I am to care adequately for the sick. I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to the cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body as well as the infirm. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act as so to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. You have just heard the modern version of the Hippocratic Oath, written in 1964 by Louis Lasagna, academic dean of the School of Medicine at Tufts University, and used in many medical schools today.